Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Cindy, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Paranormal Brew. I am excited to have you here. We should, and speaking of my peaches that recommended you, this is Jocelyn.
Hey, Jocelyn. Thank you for recommending me.
Hey, Kyle owns, he runs White Hill Mansion in New Jersey. So he's checking in.
Awesome.
She said, big fan.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait to meet you.
Spooky Appalachians.
Hey, Jimmy.
So are you mad?
I'm mad still. No, Jimmy, I'm not
mad. Sorry I missed this one. Hey, Paranormal Brew and Cindy checking in on YouTube. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to get through these really quick so we can get into a lot of, because I definitely have been, I unfortunately didn't know about your place until my girls had mentioned, and I was like, when I put that post out on Facebook about having haunted locations on, I really want to promote the legit places because I know there's been these pop-up locations lately that, they're just trying to make money. And I want the people that out there that are really doing this for the right reasons, have the real locations that are, have activity, and you're in it for the right reasons, so
Absolutely.
I appreciate you being here and taking the time. So let's just get started. I want to first start with, he said, got to watch out for the ducks at that place. I love animals, so I'll be probably trying to become friends with them.
Yep, a girl of my heart. I'm like animals, all animals. Let me call all the animals.
Yeah. So
thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Let's see. Cindy doesn't F around. I love her rules and no standing for bullshit at her location. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So let's start. Hi, Greg. So let's start with you. I love to hear people's stories about how because what paranormal investigator wouldn't love to own a haunted location and be able to have it and have their friends come and investigate it, and this and that. It's literally a dream of mine, to actually have a place. I always say if I won the lottery, I'd buy a place in Gettysburg and all my friends could just come and investigate whenever they want,
Yeah.
But how do you acquire such an awesome, magnificent location? Were you in, let's start with you first, and then I want to, get into the sanitarium.
So one of my very best friends, Ashby Berkeley, is the owner. And I work with him as a partnership to manage the paranormal part of it and everything else, because ever since he bought the place, I was like, I got to get in here. I love this. I love this place. So, we kind of forged a partnership to help save the place. So that's our whole goal, was to save this location, because it sat empty for over 20 years, which is terrible. That's terrible. That's just awful.
So was it going to be knocked down? Were there talks of it being knocked down?
So basically no one was doing anything with it. It was just sitting here. There was no plans for anything. And of course, being that it was sitting there, the roof needed work, lots of different areas of the building need lots of work, and the property is big. There's other buildings on the property. So, there's just so much. I mean, it's huge. The building alone is 110,000 square feet. So
110,000 square feet.
yes. And that's just for the main building. So it's large, and the roof alone, we just put a new roof on, and it was several $1,000,000. So that, when people ask where their money is going, trust me, it's going into the building,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 110. Now, does that include, you're saying just the building? So
yeah, just the main building. Yep. Just that main building you see behind me. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
the main building.
Okay, so were you into the paranormal?
Oh, absolutely.
Like all your life, have you been into the paranormal?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's awesome.
I've been fascinated forever. Now, I came up on Sweet Springs. That was in 2004 when I moved back from Hawaii. I was driving with a friend around West Virginia just because, I missed driving around and seeing different places and stuff. And I came across this place because there was literally nothing. Back in 2004, the internet was not, wasn't as up to date on things and whatnot. So I was having a hard time finding out how I could get a hold of someone who owned this place or, could allow me permission in there or at least to visit. And it took me a while, but I became obsessed with it as soon as I saw it. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, stop this truck right now. I have to see this place. I have to, just feel it. I'm going to do something.
You were drawn to it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was like a magnet. It was like, and then I became obsessed with it. And I started doing all the research on everything I could find. So I went to like the rare books collection in West Virginia, where you got to wear the little white gloves and all that to read these old books. And so it was, I'm like old school.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm old school. Like I literally am old school. I mean, somebody, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me get my glasses. See, this is bad.
Okay. That's Celicia. Celicia's a volunteer at Sweet Springs. So hey,
Celicia. First of all, that's a really pretty name. I've never heard it before. I would have
it's gorgeous
that if you didn't say that. But the grounds, how many acres? Is it acres or is it just?
So there's a little over 30 altogether that we have. Okay. And so the bathhouse, which is also known as like where the pool is, the mineral springs, that is part of all of this. So when people visit us, not only do they get 110,000 square feet of a building, but they can also visit the bathhouse and, walk around the pool, the springs. And, if they want to take some water home with them, they can. I mean, we're pretty flexible and try to welcome everyone, to look around and check it out.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with you. So were you a paranormal investigator or were you an enthusiast or, did you go ahead.
So I started out spiritually, like it was more of a spiritual thing. And then whenever paranormal investigation became popular, before that, I was already into it, but I kind of call myself a paranormal researcher because I'm more into like the history, the stories, and hearing other people's experiences and whatnot. I really love to investigate, but I feel like this is probably not going to be popular opinion, but I feel like calling it investigation is not really the most accurate. That makes sense because I feel like I don't have enough scientific tools to actually perform like what people would consider an investigation. But do I try to use EDI plus, spirit boxes, voice recorders, cameras, all that? Yes, absolutely. But I don't know. I'm kind of funny. I feel like a researcher is more appropriate for me.
Well, so I agree with you. And I've never heard it put in that way and the way that you put it. If you don't mind, I will give you credit, but I'm going to say this is how Cindie put it one day to me. And this is exactly because I agree with you. I agree with you. I literally, my girls will contest, I do like to investigate, but I love the research more. I love the history of places with meaty history is just feeds my soul. Cause if nothing happens paranormal wise, I'm still happy that I'm in a historic location. And I love it. And
that is me. That is totally me. And people will be like, how can you spend hours here by yourself? And I'm like, how can you not?
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I love this place.
Yeah. So, okay, so you start doing all this research for yourself. And like, so around the time now, forgive me, but you said the owner's Ash, you said his name's Ashley?
Ashby.
Oh,
Ashby with a
Ashley.
yeah, Ashley.
Okay, Ashley.
I'm
Sorry.
sure he's been called Ashley before too.
So did he, so you said set vacant for 20 years. Now, was he an owner
Yeah,
of the place?
yes, he bought the place in 2015. And he's in his, I believe he's in his early 80s now. So he used to come there as a child and visit people in
Oh,
the nursing home. And so he's amazing. Like, just to talk to him is amazing as well, because he has stories from when he was a child
oh my
and
gosh.
remembers a lot of the history. And he's very good at, with like renovating and trying to, restore these historical locations. So he's got a few historical preservation projects under his belt, which is also very helpful, So yeah, it's wonderful.
You have to
I mean,
record, you have to like he should write a book or something, or write or record it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And have a book, because that'd be awesome. Everybody's talking about the history. I want to know the history. What's the history of
okay.
Sweet Springs Sanitarium? Because now
All
I
right.
want to know.
Okay. So brace yourself.
Yes,
so
no, I'm excited.
So this place became popular as a resort in the 1700s. So now the building that you see now was built in the 1830s. And then
Okay.
part of the side over here was built in the 60s and 70s to match it, because the old ballroom that was attached to the main building was tore down. And so they basically matched that one little section. And I always show people where it starts, because that section, you can't really tell unless you're standing inside. You can tell the difference. But they really did a good job of trying to match it, completely. However,
Right.
whole main part of the building was 1830s. So, this is an old building, especially for West Virginia.
Yeah.
It's an old building, it's huge, and it was used for so many things. But it started out as a resort. And, back in the 1700s, they had those, like, what we would consider now cabins, right? They were like the log, the old log colonial
Yeah.
looking style, houses slash cabins, whatever you want to call it. Well, that's what was originally here. And that's what started as a resort. And so we also had a court, which was interesting. And
Mhm.
we have a jail, which is the oldest jail west of the Alleghenies. And that jail was from the 1700s. It still is sitting there. You could actually go in it, walk around it, check it
Really?
out. Yes. So
So
that's another, building on our property that is not included
so
in
awesome.
the, you know what I mean? It's not part of it. So, but you can go in it and you can visit it and you can look around, you can do EVPs. It's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
So that jail, which I'll tell you a funny story too. You'll laugh at this. So back in the day, whenever it was a resort, and back then it was hard to come by, especially out where we are. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Even today, we have very spotty Wi-Fi, no cell service. I mean, it is out in the middle of nowhere for real. And a lot of people, they don't believe me when they come, until they come and they're like, "Oh, you weren't joking." I'm like, "No, I wasn't." you know, but you come out, you can only imagine back in the 1700s and 1800s how, like remote this place was.
Yeah.
It still is today. So the interesting thing is the jail was used, for prisoners when we had the court here and everything. Well, when it became a resort, travelers would be on the road and they would be looking for a place to stay.
Mhm.
Well, if there was no place to stay, guess what? They would kick people out of the jail. They would literally let prisoners loose.
Oh my gosh, and let people
Yes. Yes, and people would stay in the jail. I kid you not. I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever read in my life. And meanwhile, this is like from the 1700s newspaper articles and stuff. So I mean, we're talking like this was cool to find. I was like, "Are you serious right now?" I was like, "Can you imagine paying big money to stay at a resort and you stay in a jail?"
in the jail? Oh my gosh. I mean, and imagine the amenities weren't what the resort had either. But
Oh no!
if you wanted a
I
place to
mean,
stay,
yeah, and if you look at the place even, now, like, it's bare minimum, right? We're talking, like, stone walls, dirt floor. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it hasn't, like, upgraded, so it couldn't have been that great. And I'm just thinking, "Oh, okay." Like, I
Yeah.
had to reread it and find new, because I was like, "This can't be right. This just can't
That's
be right."
that's
Nope.
that's pretty interesting though that they would do that.
I know. I was amused by that. So
So when
that's
it
a
was
little
a resort, how many cabins were there?
So in the beginning, we're not exactly sure because there were several. There were like men's and women's, because that was the thing back then, and then family ones. So I'm not real sure exactly on the original amount of places that there were, but now when you come, we have 3 sister cottages, which they call cottages. They're basically 3-story houses.
Oh,
So I'm like,
really?
that's a cottage. I'm like, that's a cottage. Okay. But we have those, and those were also, able to be used as part of the resort. So not only could you stay in the large building, I have articles showing where like there were at least 2,000 people staying here as guests. So you can only imagine. I mean, the place is huge. It,
Are the
it can
3
accommodate a
cottages
lot.
are the 3 cottages still on the
Yeah, they're
property?
still standing, yes. And then we
So
also have another white house. I guess it's not really used as a house, but we plan to turn it into a museum, and it's just as big, and it's also on the property. So, yeah, there's a lot of buildings on the property. Now, the one cottage we turned into an office. So that's where we have our like office stuff, and we've got a little place on top where I usually stay if I spend the night and hang out and whatever, if I don't sleep in the main building. So it's really cool. But so to get back on the subject, so it started out as a resort and it continued as a resort until around the 1940s. And then in the 1940s, tuberculosis was big, and the owners that had it were having some financial troubles and whatnot. Well, they ended up selling the property to the state of West Virginia. Well, West Virginia bought it and turned it into a sanitarium for
so
tuberculosis.
when did they clearly had to knock down the cottages.
No, they're still there. Now they knocked down the old school like cabins, the cabin style.
That's what I meant,
Yeah.
the cabins.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when did they do that? When did they knock down the cabins and decide to build 110,000? Wait, what? How big
Right.
is it? Like,
It's
I
huge.
mean,
So the main building started to be built around 1820-ish. And then it continued. And I think it was actually completed in 1839 because they actually made those bricks on our property. So
holy,
like these are old school bricks. They were also predominantly made by slaves.
right?
So, that's a whole nother issue that is there. But, that tells you like this building has a lot of energy and a
Yeah,
lot of history,
yeah.
and so that part is important to me. Some people get, that whole thing is just a big,
No.
but to me, I feel if it's history, it needs to be told. It needs to be told the best of our knowledge,
Well, I
and
mean,
so
it looks like a well-built building.
yes,
So give credit where credit is due. First of all, excuse me.
absolutely. Yes, I
It's
completely agree.
yeah, it's unfortunate of how
Yes, yes.
of the circumstances surrounding the people building, you know what I mean? But give them all the credit. I mean, you
Right.
know, I mean, it's I think it's pretty safe in any type of natural disaster. It looks like it's pretty, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I think you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah, you should see the walls of this building. I'm like, if I scream, no one is gonna hear me. This place was built well,
Yeah,
it was built well. And so to me, that's a compliment, and I mean, it's just amazing. Like it's just an amazing place. So in, the 1930s, when they sold the place, the state bought it. I want to say it was at the beginning of the 40s. So it was kind of like end of 30s, beginning of 40s. They turned it into the TB sanitarium. And of course, we started getting treatment for TB. And so TB cases dropped, and there really wasn't a need for this huge facility for TB patients that were, basically being treated and were able to go back home, or some of them passed away, of course. But, for the most part, TB was kind of, you know, getting treatment. So there wasn't a need for that. Well,
right.
because the state owned it, the state decided, well, what are we going to do with this building? What are we going to do with this? And so they decided to turn it into a nursing home. And that was in the 40s. Yeah. So it became a nursing home, and it operated as a nursing home until 1995.
Did they use the whole building? The whole
Yeah.
building?
Yes. There
Holy
were
crap.
thousands of people that died in these walls.
Wow.
Mhm.
So what do you know this? I don't even know if you would know this, but what were their ideas when they built it originally? Like what was the idea for it? Was it to be continued to
For
be a resort or a hotel or
Oh,
they
yeah. When they built this building, it was a very fancy resort. Like, it was considered top of the line. They actually called it Switzerland of America
Oh
because
wow.
it's in beautiful, like, mountainous, I mean, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful, like, setting and everything. And of course, because the natural springs were already on the property, a lot of people came for the natural springs even before it became a tuberculosis sanitarium because people believed in the health benefits. A lot of people from New York, Pennsylvania, all the upstate, very northern states would come down because they believed that it helped them, to breathe better, have clean drinking water, whatnot. So they would come to our location to feel better and rest. And so it was definitely interesting how, it came about as the resort. I mean, we had horseback riding. When I say we, back in the day, like old school, they had horseback riding, golf, bowling. I mean, you name it. This place operated as a fancy, like high time resort.
Wow.
So,
And
yeah.
so the decor had to be, is like that all got like the decor and all that stuff? Like, is that all
So
goes?
you can no, there's some of it's still there. And
Oh,
like
cool.
the big, huge
Yeah.
doorways and
Yeah.
yes. And like some of the fireplaces and like the big mantles and the door frames and whatnot. Yeah, those are still there. A lot of it was changed, when it became a nursing home, but for the most part, it's still like you can see how grand this place actually was. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
amazing.
I've been looking at pictures on Facebook and so looking at, on social media and, you know, I'm telling you, I'm like, all my peaches are like, we're going. It's only 4 hours from Megan, who's in Maryland, and we're like, okay, we're going.
Yeah, come on down.
So it becomes a nursing home, and then what? The nursing home closes.
Yes. So in 95-ish, it closed and they literally left they just left. They just
What
up and
was
left.
there? Was there a reason it closed? Was it like
Basically funding, because it was mostly for folks who a lot of people were immigrants that were here. A lot of people were immigrants as because they had no family, no friends to take care of them. They were elderly. Most of them were alone. So not everyone, but most people that were in the nursing home were immigrants or like considered lower income level, people that didn't have anyone to care for them. We even have a cemetery that I wrote a book on, that's on the property with unmarked graves.
wait a second?
So
Like it's so funny because as we're talking, like every time we start talking about something, you're like, "Oh, we also have a jail. Oh my god, and we also have 3 colleges. And oh wait, there's also a cemetery."
like, wait, let me not forget this.
So basically, you need like 4 days.
Pretty
4 days.
much, yeah. I mean, I highly recommend people if they can do it to do a couple nights at least because I mean it's so much. It's so much to take in, you
So
know.
there's a cemetery. So is it a potter's field?
So yes, that's what it would be considered. And I have wrote 2 books on Potter's Fields in West Virginia. So one is on the Mon County Witches Grave Cemetery, and then the other one is Sweet Springs. They're the cemetery that like has the nursing home residents who passed away, who didn't have family or friends to bury them, or anybody to call. And so they did that cemetery on our property so that they could bury the residents as best as possible. Now the graves are unmarked, so I'm working on trying to have some kind of memorial erected. That's the reason why I wrote the book, because the book has the names of everyone based on the death records. I spent months going through all the death records to make sure that I accurately documented everyone I could possibly document as far as legal wise, because death records are in the state of West Virginia, they have to be passed away for at least 50 years. So
Really?
yeah, in order
Oh,
to be public.
oh wow.
So I wrote the book based on, the death records that were public to me and able to be published. So that way people, if they were looking for their loved ones or wanted information, they'd be able to find that. And so that we would know who's buried, so we can give them a proper, proper names and whatnot, instead of just saying, oh yeah, a bunch of people are buried here.
Megan's asking, she wants to go to the witches one. Did you say you wrote a book on it? Is
Yes.
that the one you said you wrote a book on?
Yeah. So there's two. I wrote a book on the one at the Sweet Springs Cemetery, and then also it's called Monongalia County Cemetery, and it's on my Amazon. I have an Amazon page, and it's got it listed.
Wait a second. Haunting Angels. I think she said. I think her name's Yvette. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she's saying that there's wolves also.
I'm not sure what that means.
Wolves, like wolves there.
Not that I know of.
Whew. Oh, we're coming.
Wouldn't surprise me because we're surrounded by woods, but I mean I've not seen any there. I believe that we had rabbits and baby deer.
I love deer. Oh my God,
too.
One night is not enough now. All right, so yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, if she wants information on the cemetery that I wrote about from Mon County, where there were like stories of like rituals and whatnot, it's not going to be about that. So she wants that as a book. It's basically about honoring the people who are buried there. So just so in case she was wondering, so Mon County was also unmarked graves. It's a county cemetery, which was known as Potter's Field.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what she was.
That's interesting. Now, so the cemetery on Sweet Springs, though, like, so you don't know who's buried there, or you?
Well, that's what I do because I wrote the book on it, and right. So I know, but I still don't have everyone. You know what I mean? Because I have to wait for the death records to become public before I can get them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I have from the 40s all the way up to, I believe it was the 70s right now.
So was it people that were residents?
Yes. They died
died there. Okay. So It would have been TB people.
Yeah.
Right.
TB.
I would imagine, I'm going to go back further, and I'd imagine people from the 1700s, even the slaves that were workers there. I imagine, if they buried them, I don't know, but
right. I would love to know where, we could find that information. I would love to find that. I do know in Lewisburg, which is about a half hour away from us, there is a cemetery that was strictly for African Americans to be buried. And I know a lot of slaves are buried there as well. Now, there is a property close to Sweet Springs that has like a family cemetery, and there are some slaves buried in that cemetery.
Yeah.
So, but it's on private property, and so they like for you to call ahead and make sure you get permission before you go on that. But that's not part of Sweet Springs. It's just it's near Sweet Springs. Right, but yeah, I would love to know, where some of the slaves were buried, or if they were buried. I would hope they would be buried, but I don't know. I'm not real sure. But the cemetery, what I can definitely say for sure is from the 40s all the way up, probably to 95. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna guess that people were buried during that entire time, in that cemetery. I do know for a fact from the 40s to the 70s. So I do have records of that for sure.
That's awesome. That's so crazy. You have to wait 50 years for it to be public. That's so crazy to me.
It is. And I really wish somebody would have kept documentation, because there is none. Like, no one turned it in. I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was damaged or if it was destroyed. I don't know what I can almost guarantee they had to keep a record somewhere, but I don't know where that record is.
Well, you know what? And it's funny you say this, because I was just talking about this with my last show about how one of the biggest misconceptions is we think everybody wrote everything down back then.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You think everybody just wrote now everything's documented. Shit, you can't walk down the street without being on somebody's video. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You can't even go to the bathroom or sleep or take a nap without being.
But like, I mean, they did write a lot now, but that's why I think like a lot of times there's and it's a shame because I don't think, I mean, there documentation isn't what we thought, what we think. It's a huge misconception of how much they actually did. You know, there's houses here up in New Jersey, Mulca Hill, where we were at, and there's like like 50 years missing of information. And you're like, where is it?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and it wasn't even that long ago. It was like early 1800s. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, so I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to think like, you know, it's hard to find information, but it is. I mean, it's hard to find your own ancestry.
Right.
Let alone,
And, you know, with West Virginia, we were part of the Civil War. So, you know, a lot of stuff was burned or damaged or
was that a Civil War
destroyed.
hospital?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
But we did have Union soldiers camp on our property when they came through. Now, no battle that I know of
That
happened
was a
here.
little brave of them.
Yeah. And yeah, you know what's interesting? So at the time when they did this, we had proprietors. There were 3 proprietors. 2 of them were Union, 1 was Confederate. And if they would have had all Confederates, the Union soldiers probably would have burned this place down because that's what they were, you know, kind of ordered to do. Like,
Right.
so luckily we did have a proprietor who, you know, was part of the Union side. And so they spared this place. So I consider that like, whew, thank God. Because, you know,
Yeah.
otherwise this place probably would have got burnt. One of the houses nearby did get burnt because her husband was a Confederate general. And so when they came through, they slaughtered all of her livestock, you know, burned her house
I
down.
don't understand it. Like, why
I
do
know.
you mess with the animals? What did they
I,
do?
I know. That's what I'm
They
saying.
do.
But I guess they just wanted to eat them. I mean, it was awful. Like, I don't get it. But they left them like destitute, you know, and she had to take care of stuff while her husband was gone. You know, she was a tough woman. So it's just sad. The whole Civil War is just awful. I mean, it's awful, you know?
Yes.
But
Well,
all wars are
yell
awful.
that. It's food. I would eat leaves and trees and sticks and branches. Okay.
I know. I'd be out there eating tree bark. I'd be like, here, you guys want some tree
I
bark?
couldn't do it.
Tree
I couldn't do it. I don't know how they did it. Like last week somebody was telling me that the house that they have, like they raised chinchillas
Oh my gosh.
for their fur. I'm
Oh
like,
my.
what?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I
It's
never
like,
heard of it. I'm like, stop. I mean, tell me, like, here, and you know, what's funny is we're talking about the Civil War and like, obviously, how many men and children, you know, how many people died
right.
during the Civil War, and I'm like, poor animals. I'm like, why are they always gonna mess with the animals?
That's how my daughter is. She's like, oh, poor people, but what about the animals? She's like, I feel sorry for everyone, and so does she, but especially animals. I mean, you see my zoo. We have 2 horses, 6 cats, 2 dogs.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, what would you say is I mean, I'm sure the whole property is probably, you know, riddled with activity, but what would you say, in your opinion, is like the most active area on the property?
So that's tough for me because, you know, I've spent so much time there that I've had experiences in different, you know, all different areas. So, and I feel like it's kind of equal. You know, it depends on the day, it depends on like the time. It's just really weird. It's like random, you know. But for me, probably the most active consistently is the 3rd floor nurses station. And then also the bathroom. I don't know if you saw the hand that I got on camera. It
Yeah.
was super creepy. That was on the 3rd floor as well, but in one of the bathrooms. So that was like, that bathroom is weird. It's weird to me. And so for me, it would be probably nurses station, 3rd floor, and then the basement, which everybody calls the basement. It's actually the 1st floor. So the
Okay.
1st floor is like where the slave quarters were. And I feel like there is just something about it. I mean, it feels heavy.
Yeah. Everybody is agreeing that's been there. The third floor is definitely spooky. Somebody else mentioned the staircase on the third floor, or going
Yeah.
to the third to the staircase. Oh, I'm sorry, the staircase and the third floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Um so I have so many questions. I guess. All right, so like when people come out there, so they can stay on the property.
Yeah.
And nothing is off limits on the property. So the jail people can go to, the cottages people can go to.
The cottages are off limits because 2 of them are not in good. They're not.
Oh, okay.
One of the cottages is the office, so you can come into the office if we're open, but if not, it's usually locked. But you can go into the jail and look around. You can go to the bathhouse, the pool, the Mineral Springs area, and then you have the whole main building. There's only one spot in the building that you're not allowed to go, and that is down like where like what people call the boiler room, but it's in an area where there's a lot of exposed pipes, like on the ground and on the in the walls and whatnot. And it's just not safe. It's just not safe for somebody to go tripping down there because it's in an area where there's no windows. It's kind of in the middle of the building. So there's no windows or anything. And so if you're in there and you don't have a flashlight or you're going to fall, like you're going to fall and get hurt.
Right.
So there's, and now mind you, that's a very small area. You know what I mean? So the 110,000 square feet, you're pretty much.
Well, how are you going to have to, like, you literally have to plan this out because, having 110,000. So let's just take the 110,000 square feet. Okay. Literally, I mean, has anybody been able to investigate everything?
Me. I mean, there are teams that have been there, for like 2 days and whatnot. And they probably got, a good bit of it covered, depending on how many people you have and how much equipment you have. But to me, I feel like you would really need to spend a lot more. Like nobody can be an expert on this place unless you spend a crap ton of time there. Like I have. I mean, it's just, I've just have spent so much time there. It's hard for me to really, give a real good number on it. But I mean, I spent like 2 weeks straight there, when I first started going there, just so I could get a feel for the place and see what was going on and everything. And that didn't even touch the surface. I mean, I learned something new every time I go there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which of course keeps me going back because it's, it's never boring.
Have you ever gotten anything that correlated with the history?
Oh yeah, that's how I found the slave names of the slave that died in the jail, because it's not, that's just not part of like historical record. So I got an EVP and I just kept researching. And finally I figured out why he was giving me his name. He gave me his whole name. And I don't know how, yes, his whole name, his first name and his last name.
That's amazing.
And that's phenomenal. To me, I got cold chills just, talking about it.
Especially then you can look it up and then find out.
Yes.
This was a real person.
Yes. Yep. And so to me, that is what keeps me going back, because when I can what else would you call that? I have no idea why that came across as an EVP. I did not know that name. It took me, I would say, 2 years to find him in an actual, historical documentation. It took me about 2 years to find him.
Commend you. I mean, honestly, that means I love that. I love that.
And to me, that's part of I feel like his story needed to be told, because he was stealing something and he got shot in the leg and they didn't get him treatment. So he died in the jail. And that's how I found out his story. Like, he didn't tell me his story. He just said killed. And then he gave me his whole name. And I was like, what do I do with this? How do I find this person? I didn't know if he was, I didn't know if he was a slave. I didn't know what his story was. And so I finally found him, and he was he was a slave, and that's amazing. Was shot in the leg, for stealing something, allegedly, because, I don't know. But he was put in the jail, and he died of his wound. And that's awful, you know,
Wow.
but I like that I can tell his story because now people know who he is and what happened to him.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what he wanted. Now, do you have things that people pick up the same entity or the same spirit or the same, like, do a lot of people seem to
Yes.
come across the same
Yes.
thing?
And I'm kind of secretive. And I know that sounds kind of bad, but I'm kind of secretive because I don't like giving everything away because
Yeah.
I have noticed that when I tell my experiences, sometimes people will come out of immediately and be like, "Oh yeah, I got that person's name too."
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
I, did they? Maybe, but I don't like to lead people into what they
Right,
might get or not get.
right,
So
right.
I like to tell my experiences, but a lot of the stuff I've got, I'm keeping it all in a log and then I will publish it one day. Now
That's
I will let
awesome.
you know because I'm also collecting other people's stories from when they're here because I want to see if it matches with mine. So that's what I did with Project Fear. Because when they first came, I wasn't able to meet with them because I had arranged for them to come and then my daughter was graduating from high school. Well, I'm obviously not going to miss that. So I'm like,
Right.
sorry, guys. And they were so mad because, they didn't have control at that time. When they were Destination Fear, they didn't have control over when they could come and when they couldn't come. And, the way their production and all that was, they weren't able to come when I was available and I was not going to miss my daughter's graduation. So, I did not get to meet them the first time they were here. And so when they took on the road with Project Fear, they contacted me right away and they were like, "Okay, that's it. You tell us when you're available because we're coming to see you." And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, "Okay." So,
That's awesome.
they
But
arranged.
so were they the first big group to come to Sweet Springs?
No, we've had other teams and just different people who have came on their own,
Okay.
not filming anything,
Right.
just as my friends. They
Right,
had
right.
came to visit, and I said, I want to see what you get. I
Yeah.
want to see what
Yeah,
you get. And
absolutely.
a couple of them came and they were like, "Holy crap!" And I tell you what's difficult is being that we don't have Wi-Fi and we are remote. We do not have cell service. A lot of that deters a lot of production companies. It
Yeah,
does
I can
because
see.
they want, and I don't blame them in some respects, but in other respects, it's super low on contamination.
Yeah. No, totally true. Totally true. So somebody had said that I should go there. We should do an overnight
Yeah.
live and stream it live. But
Yes.
if there's,
That would be cool. We should do it.
yeah, well, I'll totally do it. But if there's no, can people go live there? If there's
So,
no,
so we're working on the Wi-Fi now.
oh, cool.
Aretta, she is trying to get that arranged. She's going to try to expand it and make it more reliable. We don't know how that's going to work because we're out here in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
so we're working on it. However, if you wire it hardwire into our
Oh, okay.
you could do it. It would just be really hard to do remote, like going to different
Yeah.
unless you hardwire, which I have done before, and I've done live streams on YouTube. And I have them on my YouTube way back from 2016, I believe. I did a few live streams on there and I had, I think, 8 or 10 cameras hooked up, hardwired. So you know how long that cord was. Let me tell you, I was rolling in cords for days.
Oh my God.
But I caught a lot of cool
Wow.
stuff. I caught a lot of cool stuff
That's
on this.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have security cameras set up throughout the building?
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yes.
Now, can you leave them on when teams are there?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love that.
And we never put that, because that's just strictly for security and for us to make sure people are safe and whatnot and not
Yeah, but
destroy
if you
them.
catch something,
But
you know what I mean? Like if we get,
Mhm.
like if I know you have security cameras up and I know something happened or something, whatever, I'm gonna be like, Cindie,
Yeah.
go to the camera. We
Yeah.
need to see, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I would love to have that option at least,
Yes.
Um,
And we've done that. We've done that. We went back and I personally have caught some things on
that's
there.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. Before we talk about Project Fear, then Destination Fear being there, because you said you have some really cool stories about that. But there's two questions. One, haunting angels. Cindie, we emailed you a few days ago. I hope you received it because been no reply. We can't wait to return. So I guess they're emailing to come
Yeah.
back?
So I have been completely backlogged. So I apologize. I'll be getting back to everybody. I have about 6 or 7 emails that I need to respond to. I've been trying to go down the list. I promise I'll get back to you.
Are they ever planning to clean up the spring? Be nice to take a day.
Yeah. Yes. Because I want to do that personally. I want to float
I,
around.
when you said that, I was like, oh, like what? Okay.
I mean, you can fit in if you want, but there might be some turtles and snakes. So, but yeah, we are definitely wanting. Of course, that's kind of low on our list because right now we're trying to make sure we get all the big things that need repaired to keep the foundation, keep the main, integrity of the building for sure.
Right,
but,
yeah. Right. So Destination Fear.
Yes.
Project Fear.
Project
I know
Fear.
it was Destination Fear when they came there, and now it's Project Fear. Sorry. But so they finally get there. Now you said some really cool stuff.
Yes.
Josh is saying that's how she heard of your place because she watches them. So that's
yeah. So I love them. They're wonderful people. They're really, really good people.
They
And
are
that's,
nice.
that's one of the reasons why I support them. I don't normally, and I don't want to sound mean to anybody, but I don't normally go for like the big, like the big name, whatever. I don't really care about that stuff. I care about people. So I like them because I've liked them before they ever became famous. They were always nice people. They've always been nice people. I like that the way they run their things. I know there's been a lot of, people that try to, make a big deal out of all kinds of stuff. When they came to our location, there was no faking that I know of, and I was there. So there was no faking going on. I've never seen that out of them. At our location. I can't speak for anywhere else, but I know because I was on site during the time they were here. And in addition to that, I will tell you this. I did not tell them all of the experiences that I had. So they did not know that I got chanting. They did not know that I got screaming. They did not know that I had a lot of things that they caught as well. So I was impressed with the fact that they were able to present this, this evidence to me that matched what I already had. So then I showed them the footage and they were like, what? So that's why when people say, was that real? Was that real? Was that chanting real? I'm like, absolutely. I have got that multiple times.
That's
I have the recordings. I don't normally, and I will tell people this right up front. I don't normally share my stuff because frankly, I'm not looking for anyone else's opinion, if that makes sense. And I feel like there's so many people out there that are they're so critical.
Yes.
And they want to be like, oh, that's fake. That's whatever. Okay. If you want to think that, that's fine. I don't have anything to prove. I care about my experiences. So
Right.
I keep a lot of my stuff private. Now I'll show it to my friends, or I'll show it to people that might want to see it. But for the most part, I keep my stuff private because frankly, I'm not trying to get famous, but I'm also not caring whether or not people believe it.
Right. No, yeah.
And no offense to them. I just don't care what they think. And
Right.
I feel like it's my experience. If I had it, that's what I'm looking at. I'm there. I would love to promote it. And if somebody else gets it, I'm more than happy to share and say, hey, guess what? I got that too. That was cool.
Right.
But for the most part, when the team came, I didn't tell them everything that I had got. And I didn't tell them all of my experiences. So when they had similar experiences, especially Chelsea, for some reason, Chelsea and I got a lot of the same stuff. And it was pretty creepy. That's pretty creepy. That it seemed to be like a female, that they were like, I don't know what that's all about yet. But yeah, it was kind of one of those things where, they were like, what? And then of course, you see in the video, like at the beginning when they came to see me again, they were like, Cindie. I'm like, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, hey, because I don't know if Dakota would have spent the night.
Right.
He would have ran away. I'm not sure. And I always tease them because they're so funny.
They are. They really are. Like me, I had a talk with them one night, because I wouldn't want my nieces and nephews to watch only because I don't want that, I don't want them to think that, that's what you do when you go into a place. Not saying that they're disrespectful, it's just that, so I said, look, the way you guys went, and this was when they were not now, but this was when they, first came out, when it was like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do these things to get us on this like heightened whatever, or mess with our senses and then go into a haunted building. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want my niece and nephew doing that. And
Yeah.
and I told them that. I was like, look, the way you guys, I'm just not, but you guys are awesome, and he was like, well, wow, Dakota's like, he's like, I really appreciate you being honest. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying you guys are bad. I'm just saying,
Right. Yeah.
I'm getting yelled at because they're super big fans of.
They're like, stop. No, but I agree. I was the same way with my daughter, and I think she's in the chat. When she was young, I didn't let her watch those shows either. I just didn't, because I didn't want her to not understand what was going on and to be terrified, and everything. Because some of that stuff is scary,
Yeah.
And so when she got older, of course, she's like, Mom, why do you do this? She likes the history and everything, but she's just like, there's just like a lot of mold and dirt.
Like, I know.
Like,
Some places we go into. Oh my God. Let me see. Tim is asking, will you allow testing and some experiments run in the facility?
So I can't say yes to that because I would need to know what they are. So we would have to have a discussion, but we are certainly not against it. It just depends on what it is. We're not gonna, if you're gonna tear up stuff, yeah, no.
No.
But yeah, if it's proper experimental testing and whatnot, yes, please get a hold of me and we can discuss it. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I think he's more meaning like on the scientific side, like doing like, you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. Not.
I'm always afraid to say yes to stuff. I'm not sure. I'm like, what exactly are we gonna do?
Look at Megan's. You shut your mouth. They are. I know. I said they're nice. I do like them. I like them. Me and Dakota are like homies. Like I.
Like, he's supposed to come back to Sweet Springs for a solo. So he's like, Cindie.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Let's see. So when we didn't talk. So when they got here, so they come in. How long were they there?
Let's see. It was about a week.
It was a week.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had a week to be somewhere. That would be so awesome.
I know. I do that. That's where I vacation a lot of times. But as you can see, I'm real glamorous over here.
I love it. Like, but you know what? I would be there all the time too.
I love it. I mean, yeah. Some days I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Sweet Springs.
Did you ever look and see if you have a connection to the property?
So yes, I do. And it was weird that you asked that. And I found that out. I did not know it in the beginning. Had no clue.
That's
and
interesting.
It took me a while, to find some connections. But yes, I have American Revolution ancestors that are connected.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So you're a daughter of the Revolution.
Yes.
Just like myself. I found this out last year that I am a daughter.
I love that. Are you? I didn't know. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So I just found out, and I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they're kind of like, what is that?
So
that's awesome.
So to me, that's interesting. I mean, I feel like when people are that drawn to places, there's something drawing you there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Because I was on a mission. I was like, why am I so obsessed with this place? Because all the places I've ever been, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this place. But I'll give you another cool fact about me. So Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was actually my 8th great-grandfather's farm before it was the lunatic asylum.
Stop it.
And he actually was murdered by the Indians on that farm. Yes.
Shut up.
Nope, not joking. And I have that as a proven patriot through the American Revolution.
So wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, that's weird. And I've been,
and it's crazy that you're not drawn to.
I am. I love that place too. But I'll tell you what's really strange. I did not know that when I investigated with some of my friends there. I did not know that back in, I believe it was 2014. I did not know. Went there with a few of my friends, and we kept getting an EVP that said granddaughter, granddaughter, granddaughter. And
Stop.
we didn't understand it. We were all like, what does this
And
mean?
now,
And
wow.
now after I found that out, I called up my friend and I was like, guess what? And he's like, what? And I'm like, the granddaughter EVP that we got like 3 times said in a row. He said, yeah. In like the German accent. I said, yeah. He goes, what? And I said, guess whose 8th great grandfather was from Germany, owned that property prior to the lunatic asylum, and was actually killed on it. He goes,
wow.
are you kidding me? So now I'm like, people just joke around now because they're like, oh, well, why don't you just take all of the most haunted places in America? Like, hey, I'm greedy, but I'm not that greedy.
But that's cool though. That's a cool thing to. That's cool. Megan's asking, how far is TALA from Sweet Springs?
So Tala is roughly, if I had to guess, I would say about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I applied for a job at Sweet Springs when it was slated to be a juvie facility.
Oh, that's cool.
That's funny.
That's pretty cool.
That's my Timmer. I love Tim.
Yeah, no, he needs to get a hold of me because if he wants to do experiments, yes, we can. Yeah. If you can vouch for him, then we're good.
Oh yeah, no, he's good peeps. He really is. Definitely, it would be definitely respectable scientific, research and investigation.
That's really cool though that he did that.
Yeah, that's funny. So did we talk about? As I know, we're all over the place. I'm surprised. I don't know anybody. We get each other, but I don't like everybody else. Is
probably like, this is chaos. Hi, welcome to the chaotic life.
Oh, somebody said your laugh is great. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So all right. So let's say, okay, I'm a team. I want to come out and is there a minimum amount of people? Is there a maximum amount? Is the cost and stuff give me the lowdown.
Okay, so it's $750 for an overnight, and you're allowed up to 10 people. If you don't want to bring 10 people, you don't have to. That's up to you. But it's $750 for an overnight. You come between 6 and 8 p.m. in the evening, check in and everything. And then you have to leave by between 8 and 9 the next morning. And we do have beds. I think Ryan mentioned that, when he was there, he visited. We do have some beds set up. So you're welcome to bring sleeping bags and whatnot. You can sleep. It's right next to our gear room. And what I say the gear room is, a place where we kind of designated for teams to be able to charge their equipment and things like that. So we have a room right beside that with, I think it's 3 or 4 beds. And, they're able to, you can crash on those beds until the morning if you want to get a couple hours of sleep or something. Yeah.
Awesome. And then the bathroom, obviously you have bathrooms and
we have porta pots, and then we also have a bathroom that we allow people to use. So if they want to use porta, that's fine. But we have both.
At night, are people out on the property, on the outside of the building at any hour? People
so if you're a team and you've scheduled with us, you are allowed to be on the property.
Right.
If you are not scheduled with us, then no. It's not open to the public to just run around on the property. You know what I mean? That we don't.
No. Yeah. I mean, do you say, oh, don't go outside after?
Oh, no, they can go outside and roam around. And we just ask that they're careful. Make sure they take flashlights.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, are you there while people are there? Does somebody stay?
Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm not. We do have other people that are there. We have a couple of maintenance managers that will let people in and walk people through on a tour. And we also have somebody who lives right across the road. And so if they need him, he leaves his phone number and they will come over if we're not there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I know that if I come, you're gonna bunk with us. I want you a part of it. I mean,
we're gonna have a blast. I
We're gonna
usually I try not to join teams unless they really insist because I don't want to ruin, I don't want them to
I think
be
that
like,
you would,
oh, we don't want to know that.
but see, I think that by now, whatever's there, entities, spirits, whatever you want to call them, they know you.
Yes.
They know your intentions. They know you no matter where. So I feel like, I mean, I guess for lack of a better description, I would say that, you're the bait.
Yeah. A lot of people have said it's been quiet and then they mention my name and then it just starts. Like, yes.
Well, you're the bait,
I try to talk to him and say, hey, be nice to people, talk to them, give them some information, try to give them some evidence, be cool.
Somebody's asking if you have a microwave.
Yes, we do have a microwave and we have some like a coffee machine and a couple. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it's, your old school coffee pot and everything. Yeah.
Cool. No,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's good. The bait, LOL. I don't know how else to put it. Like, to me, I feel like, Cindie protected me while I was there. But I feel like, you would.
Jimmy.
No, not bait. I don't know. It's like,
It's okay. Trust me, I've been called worse.
I don't know if you asked this already because I was in and out, but what is the thing that sticks out the most that has happened to you there? I did not ask that.
That would be, that is a good question. So that would be when I first started going there. I was on the stairs by the 3rd floor nurses station, and I actually got pushed down the stairs. I don't know. I really thought that it was a human that was, broke in and was pushing me down the stairs. So that was terrifying. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty terrifying. Now, that never happened to me again after that. But I don't know if it's because maybe they were like trying to figure out what the heck I was doing, because I had some equipment and I was by myself. I spent a lot of time there by myself. And that was in the beginning, Huh?
I said, you got balls.
Yeah. I don't, but I like to think I do.
Decide.
So yeah, I mean, I like to think that I do, but I don't.
Yeah, no, you do.
So I'm just like, hey, but I was there and I was by myself, and it was just one of those. I had a bad feeling, and I was freaked out, and I started to go down the stairs, and I had all my equipment, so I knew I was there by myself, and I knew I was locked in, but I don't know what happened. I mean, it was definitely like how when someone pushes you from behind between the shoulder blade, like where your shoulder blades are, that is what it felt like. And it felt like it felt like two hands, and it was just so creepy. Like I was hurt. Like I actually had bruises, scrapes.
Wow.
I mean, I really thought I was being attacked by a human and not a ghost.
It's crazy. You gotta think about, like, especially, when you were talking about that, I pictured like somebody that might have been a worker or something like that, and somebody go, or like maybe the jail, like how an officer might push, you know what I mean, like push a somebody to go, what I mean, or get moving,
That's kind of how I felt. Like I almost felt like it was because there's a few for lack of a better word, spirits, entities, whatever you want to call them. There's a few that come across frequently up there when you're using the spirit box or doing EVP sessions. And there's one that is not nice at all. He's not nice to women. He is just, and I say he because he sounds very masculine. So I don't know, but it sounds like a very angry male. And he comes across like a somebody in authority. So like a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He's even called me a nurse before, and I thought that was weird because I'm not a nurse. But I'm like, does he think that he's the boss up there? Like he's very like domineering and like kind of condescending towards women when they ask questions and they're doing spirit box sessions. So I always tell everyone, just be careful when you're up there because I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is. I have no idea why he's so angry, but particularly at women for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Kim asks, have you ever heard any disembodied voices?
Absolutely. almost every time I'm there. I'm not going to lie, almost every time I'm there. And that's been reported a lot by a lot of teams. Probably 80% of the teams have reported that.
That's awesome. I love that. And Dan says it's actually more impressive, which we said this, that there isn't a Wi-Fi to give false positive readings on several types of equipment. It's true.
Yes. Yeah. I always thought it was like an upside. You know what I mean? Like I always thought that was a good thing.
Totally is,
especially for evidence collecting. Yeah.
And then Pete is asking Todd, did she ever try any Civil War trigger objects?
Yes. So I have a few also photographs of Robert E. Lee on his horse, because his horse was actually born, his horse Traveler, was actually born about 30 minutes away on a farm.
Stop it. Yeah. The history just gets so much better and better and better. Like
and he used to come here. He used to come to Sweet Springs, and we have like newspaper articles that he used to come here with several other, very high up military personnel. And he was actually a big advocate for the springs and the mineral waters. He liked to bring his horse to let him drink from them. So one time I was doing a spirit box session with an SB7, and I got General Lee. And I thought, surely that's not the General Lee. Am I talking? Right. Is this the General Lee? I don't know. So I started asking more questions. I said, okay, what's your horse's name? Because I did know that. And I thought, well, at least I know that.
Right.
So I thought, okay, what's your horse's name? And he said Traveler, as plain as day. And I have that posted on some of my, I think it's on Facebook, and I think it's also on my YouTube. But I did post that because I thought that was, I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
Sure. And we know for a fact that he's been here multiple times. So I thought that was also cool.
That is cool. That is cool. Like, I had a question in my head and now I forget it. Like, because I have ADHD. So totally I like totally got sucked into your story and now I forget what I was asking.
I probably forgot what I was talking about, so don't worry.
No. That's awesome though, because Pete had asked about the Civil War. So do you find that you're getting spirits from all different eras of time?
Yes.
So do you think the chanting might have been Indian?
Well, honestly, the chanting that's very possible. That's one of the things I've always kept, to the side, kind of thinking like, okay, this is a possibility. I don't have any proof because I don't know I don't know the language. So I don't know how I could try to figure that out. Right. But I have let some of my friends who do have Native heritage, I've let them listen to it. And they also agree with me that it does sound very similar to some of the chants that they know. Now, they haven't been able to identify it like directly, but I don't, so at this time I don't know, but I would say it's a possibility.
Listen, I wonder if anybody's ever done, so I'm very uncomfortable with any type of Indian, because I'm not familiar with the Indian. They're such spiritual people, and like, so for me, it's a little intimidating when there's supposed Indian spirit, only because I know that they mean business, and it's like a respectful fear. If you will.
Yes.
So we were at
I feel the same way. Like, I don't like to speak on something I don't know, because I feel like I don't know enough about it.
Right. So, we were at Hinsdale, the girls were playing like an Indian, like boom, boom, like a music, like drums and stuff, and I felt uneasy, but I was like, I'm just gonna go with it. It's something different, Later on, we were outside and there was a bear. I thought it was a bear that was coming towards us. I got scared out of my mind and ran in the house. But somebody later on brought up the fact that maybe it was, they used to wear headdresses and this and that. And maybe it was and then I started thinking, well, we were doing, because some of that music tells stories and some of that music like says stuff. So maybe it was, you know what I mean? Like, I think it was an Indian in a headdress. Yeah. Like, so have you ever tried to do anything like that?
No, I haven't. And the reason why is because out of respect, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even claim to know what I'm doing on that. So I don't feel, like I know enough about it. Now, if someone else does and can do it respectfully, I would consider that. But as far as me, Yeah, I don't feel comfortable myself. I mean, I'd be part of it if they told me what to do, but I want to be respectful. So, you know,
Is there anything that you don't allow for teams to do, like, on the property?
so we don't want them trying to call in demons, and what we've actually had a team that tried to do that.
What? Why?
I don't know, stupid.
Why?
I tell you what it was. They happen to have a popular YouTube channel that's their thing. They like to go and pretend like they're possessed. And I say pretend because I don't believe it. I really don't.
Right,
Not
right.
that I don't believe you can't get possessed, because I do believe that. But I mean, like in this in this particular instance, I do
Yeah.
not believe that they go everywhere and get possessed. That's
Yeah.
just,
No, no, no.
that's
I agree. I agree.
now,
I agree.
can they bring that on themselves? Probably. Why not? But we don't want that happening here. You know what I mean? We don't want that. We
Yeah.
don't want that.
And it also, like, it's like, because you don't want people going there, and then that's all that it becomes, and then it
Yes.
just it's like it brings such a negative.
Yes, and we
It brings
absolutely don't want that. Because I mean,
Right.
I've even had people that are into the paranormal for a while, and they came and they're like, "Well, this is cool stuff, but it's not really demonic." And I never said it was, nor do
Yay.
you want it.
Yay, that's a win. Like,
Like,
anybody that wants that, see, and this is the problem with the YouTubers and all this stuff. Like, they don't they're not really they're not dealing with demons. So,
no,
like, if you're dealing with a real one, you're gonna, like, wanna jump off of a bridge. Like, you're not it's
yes.
not cool. Like, it's a
And
bad
what
thing.
it cracks me. I it's not funny, but it's funny to me sometimes when
Yeah,
people think that they can control demons. That's
yeah,
the funny part. Like, do they think they can actually call on a demon to do, like, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that demon's got you. Like,
it's
you're not telling it what to do.
so crazy. It's so crazy to me. Like,
But
anybody
if you
that
wanna play around with
wants
it, you know?
anybody that wants that is insane, because
Yes.
they literally have no idea what they are dealing with. Like,
Right.
the
Like, they
YouTube
don't know
people,
how bad it can actually get as a real possession. You know what I mean? Like, that's
yeah, the
not
YouTube people are faking it and lying,
yes.
so they're making it look cool and fun, and it is not.
No, no,
So,
no. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, you know? No.
no. Well, my worst
Yeah,
enemy?
maybe. I mean, if I mean, I'm not above return to sender.
Right, right.
I'll tell you that right now. I'm not gonna send it to you, but if you send it to me, it's coming back.
To behave.
Somebody needs to reel us in because here we go. This is a whole nother show.
Like, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I'm like, yeah, me neither. I'm like,
You're like,
well, just a little bit.
possibly. But for the record, no.
Right, right. Yeah, because we're live. I wouldn't do that. No way.
Me either.
No. So, Sin, how's your schedule work? Weekends, you
So
know?
we are 7 days a week. If people want to come during the week, yes, we will schedule.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And are you booked out? Like, how far booked
Yeah.
out are you?
Well, especially weekends. Right now, like Fridays and Saturdays are just, I mean, they're booked. They're booked. But Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I mean, there's some that are booked, but not, definitely not all. So there's still some room. But I tell people, if even if they're not sure, message me anyway, because sometimes we do have teams that need to cancel or reschedule. So if they happen to have to do that, because I do try to work with people. I mean, I can't obviously reschedule every single person ever, but I do try to work with teams and and reschedule them if they need to change a date or something. So it's always good to message and just ask if you're curious. Just ask, because if I happen to get a cancellation for a day or something, I can always be like, hey, we just had this cancellation, and usually I have people on a wait list kind of thing that they have certain dates that they'd really like to have. And so if we have somebody cancel on the date that's already scheduled, I will look at that and be like, okay, I'm going to call the first person on the list. If they don't want to come, I'll call the next person, but usually most people keep the schedule pretty good. But, every once in a while, if you think that it might be a good date for you and you don't know if it's open, just email me. I'll check.
Are you booking for 2025?
Not yet. We haven't started yet. We'll probably start booking for 2025 in December. And the only reason why I say that is because we also do non-paranormal events. So I need to get that scheduled before I start.
Well, what else do you do? What else do you do?
So we have cool stuff, and it's not paranormal, but, it's really cool stuff. We do stuff for veterans in September for, like the prisoner of war, missing in action. We have like biker, me, I love the military. The military is my heart. And I love veterans. I absolutely love veterans. We will work with veterans too. We have quite a few volunteers that are veterans, as a matter of fact.
That's awesome.
And yeah. And so, we do like a bike rally, we do car shows, we have like a music fest. There's all kinds of things that we try to do. We have a lot of family oriented events. So like for Easter, we had an Easter egg hunt for families, outside.
I can't believe people like nobody's like a Paracon, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, so I considered putting one on. But part of the problem with that is most people do not want to come if there's no Wi-Fi and no cell service.
That's so crazy to me.
I know. I mean, because I'm all for arranging it and having it. Like that would be epic to me. But
yeah, you have the space. You have the space.
We absolutely do. Yes. And there's plenty of ways that we can arrange for people to investigate during that time as well. We just need to make sure that we coordinate it with each other. Because, I could have people in one wing over here, another team, over in this wing over here, and it would not contaminate. I mean, it's, they're far enough apart.
But not only that, you have enough parking. You have enough space for parking. You have enough room inside there. Like, you have buildings where you could do night investigations to add to the Paracon, where you could just, you know what I mean? Like, investigate the jail cell, investigate this, investigate that. Like it's like the possibilities, and you could call it the Sweet Paracon. Like, it would be like amazing.
And they'll be like, that's the first thing Dakota said. Sweet Springs is not sweet. It was like,
we're gonna make it sweet. What is that? Sound does not carry through that building.
Exactly. So that's why I said it would be perfect. It would be perfect for people, several teams, to be able to,
I wonder, so no record of any tunnels?
No, we have no tunnels that I know of.
Interesting. Because TV, right? They used to like a lot of the asylums and the sanitariums had tunnels, because that's where they would like take the people that had passed away. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, any apparitions?
Yes. We have caught some of those on video, and so it's a lot of teams.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, look, we should host a Ren. That would be cool. A Ren fair.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that.
Ren fair.
That's my daughter, by the way.
Oh, is it?
I'm all for that. Kylie. Her name's Kylie.
Okay, good. That would be cool. I would make the trip out for somebody. That's so crazy. People care that much about self-service and like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could get, some people, but I really wanted to make it good, make it nice, get a lot of people out there, because I really think once people get here, they want to come back. We have a lot of return teams, a lot, because they know like, hey, this place is awesome. I mean, you never know what you're going to get, you just don't know. And it's just amazing in itself, just because, like you said, I mean, you could spend several days here and still not get everything. I mean, you could, it's definitely not boring.
Absolutely. I mean, it looks like it's a big, huge playground for paranormal research.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then with all the history and the, I mean, and the fact that you do so much research
Oh, I love it. I'm a nerd. I'm a complete nerd.
No, but that's great. That's so good because you have the proof of the history of the place. You know what I mean? And you're not
Yes.
just like, talking out of your ass and like, oh, well, we heard and we heard this, and we heard that. Like you have the facts and you have, and which I love. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, like I said, I could, if I came there and nothing happened, which I doubt, judging on from like everybody in the chat and, everything, like I still would love the fact that I was actually there with all the
Oh, yeah.
history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would love it.
I know I would. I love it.
Yeah. You're going to have to come now. It's
I
already
know.
settled.
Yes.
You're going to come.
Yes, absolutely. I need to. And that is, since Megan said it's only 4 hours from her, that means that it's really not that far. So I'm
Yeah.
down. I mean, I would love to. I made it to, let me see, the furthest I've gone so far was Virginia to Octagon Mansion. I went to Virginia.
Yeah.
That's Withville, Virginia. That was like a 7.5 hour
I know where
drive.
that is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I made it there. So I mean, I'm West Virginia. I know I could, I definitely won't the planet. We'll have to get there. I need to get there.
Yes, I agree.
I do good in sanitariums and asylums for some reason. Like
that's good.
Yeah, when we do houses and stuff like that, like it's a hit or miss for me. Sometimes I feel like I would fall.
Yes.
But the asylums and the sanitariums, maybe it's me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for some, I have a lot of
problem.
For some reason, I do good with asylums and sanitarium.
Maybe that's where we're supposed to be. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I found out Pennhurst. I found out that I actually had a cousin that was a resident at Pennhurst.
Oh my gosh! See, that's cool when you can find out there's like connections.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's amazing. That's very awesome.
Wow, I've had you for an hour, almost an hour and a half already. I feel bad, and but this is fun. I'm loving this. Like I still want to keep talking. I feel like we haven't talked enough, but we have talked.
I know. You'll just have to come to Sweet Springs, and we'll make it a couple days, and just catch up.
Absolutely. If we can figure out a way to go live, we could do like it overnight and and just see what happens. I mean, that floor where you said you're not sure what goes on, that made me a little, but maybe I gotta push myself to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody's already requesting a part 2 of me and you. So
that'd be excellent. Let's do it.
Crazy at crack. Listen, I wasn't going to say it. Crazy at
Are they calling us crazy? What are you trying to say?
Sabrina's loving your shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would love to have you on again, and maybe if there's a way. Well, the Wi-Fi and stuff is bad. I was going to say if there's a way that you could go live in the sanitarium, but I mean,
we might be able to do that, especially if I find out this Wi-Fi that we're supposed to be getting to improve. If it actually works, I'll let you know for sure. And then
then we could do it. Yeah, we could go live, and maybe you could be in there, and we could maybe do like a little mini investigation or something for the show. Just kind of look around, and hopefully we get to, because that would be really cool.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah, let me know. We should set that up. That'll be fun. But until next time, just tell everybody where they can find you, or they can, book for Sweet Springs Sanitarium, all that good fun stuff.
So we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. And you can also email me at sweetspringssanitarium@gmail.com. And that's how you book. So you can email, just book it through the email. That's the only way I book anything, because I like to keep it in one place. Otherwise, it'll be a chaotic mess. Because I also have ADHD.
Great.
So that now you can get information and kind of talk and stuff on the Facebook page, TikTok, Instagram, all that. But as far as booking, definitely email me sweetspringssanitarium@gmail.com.
Awesome. and Ed that owns the Sweet Home Estates that we just were at 2 weekends ago, which again is another amazing location. Everyone, I can't stress it enough. He said, "Fingers crossed, I would totally watch the live." So he's
Awesome.
yeah. So
Yay.
yeah, so that's great. We'll have to do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll let
All
you
right.
know if we get the
Yeah,
Wi-Fi somewhat, where I can at least go down some hallways or something. That'd be cool.
absolutely. Yep. Whatever you want to do, that would be your thing. So until next time, we'll be in touch with each other, but definitely thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for watching and
Yeah,
trying to.
thanks everybody for checking in and watching, and to all the paranormal groups out there. Thank you so much. And I can't stress this enough. Please share it out. Not for me, not for
Yes.
Paranormal Brew, but share it out for Cindie and Sweet Springs Sanitarium.
Well, thank you.
I love to get these locations all the love and support that they can to keep going, because it does cost a lot of money for people that own these locations or have these or run them to keep them up, and they're giving us somewhere to go. So please share this out to get the word out about Sweet Spring Sanitarium. I know it's already a big known location, but I'm just saying, let's show some love.
Well, we appreciate you guys. We really do. Thank you so much.
And thank you for coming on. Thank you everybody for joining me, and I'll see y'all next week. Actually, Sunday. See you guys Sunday. But
Bye.
have a good night. Thank
Thank
you.
you.